Welcome to another week of the Buffalo Game Space podcast. I'm Greg Giles.
John Futscher.
Tom.
Kendall.
We're going to talk about Monster Hunter right now. Wasted no time. Unlike the game, which wastes all my time.
Gotta go back to the old ones.
Well...
So why don't you set the stage and tell us about Monster Hunter? What the heck is it? I mean, I've heard of it. I know it's an RPG,
I'm
I
gonna
guess.
hazard a guess that you hunt monsters, maybe?
No.
Damn.
Kendall, that's why you're here. So you're so smart.
Here are guidance.
Your insight is always valuable.
What can I say?
Spoiler.
I am a genius.
Yeah, you do. I guess. I hunted one.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's
How
the
much have you
fucking
played
thing,
the
man.
game?
I know, right?
Quest.
So I played like 5 to 10 hours of it, and it's just like a grind. So you played the old one. Here's my experience, and then I guess it'll be valuable to compare notes. Let me break down what I experienced in this game. And I want to like it, even though I don't right now. I feel like if I had a lot of time on my hands and stuff, I feel like there could be something there, but it's a lot of grind. So what you do, the premise is you're a monster hunter of there's like 4 or 5 classes, and it's like an action RPG. And people seem to really like it, and you guys will be really surprised by this, but the reason I wanted to play it is because people who like Dark Souls will often tend to like it. So it seemed like it was, in that vein, and it is in some ways.
The shock is all over my face.
And so it has some of the Dark Souls stuff going on, like really heavy animation based combat.
Style,
yeah,
a lot of ducking, dodging, dip, duck, dodge, dive, and dodge.
Right, in that order.
Okay.
Every time. But it's and it doesn't play great on the 3DS because it's just one joypad, but you can get this like add-on. You can get a thumb pad add-on for the 3DS, which is like $30, and then you get dual sticks basically.
It was born for PSP.
Was it? Is that where it first came out?
I believe so.
Did PSP have dual sticks though?
No.
So what are you trying to say right now?
Just gotta man up.
Well, it's still playable, and I don't fault it for that. It was like kind of tough because you are dodging and rolling and jumping around and trying to get your attacks, and it can be hard to get perspective because what you do is you hit left trigger to look to center the camera forward, so you're always running and left trigger to like get the camera looking where you need it to. But it's definitely like impedes the combat. Like there's definitely a barrier between like what you're trying to do and the execution. Really is like the hardware is beyond what it's really trying to do. Like the hardware is not quite capable of pulling that off. That's not a big deal to me, but it's kind of how it is. So yeah, it's actiony like that, and plays pretty well once you get the hang of it, which does take a while. And you hunt monsters, and there's some cool stuff going on. But the thing is like, I thought it would just be going out and finding single monsters and taking them down. But there's this huge layer of grind to collecting resources and just filler, like kill this many animal quests and all this stuff that is just like so tedious and time consuming.
And you have to do it?
Yeah, you do. It does. You can't unlock more quests. You can't unlock stuff until you complete all the quests in the set. So it'll be like, and what I saw, it was like 10 quests of collect this herb, kill this animal, which is like a nothing little animal. Not nothing, but like, it's not like the cool monster you're trying to take down. Then at the end of a zone, you kind of like do all this stuff, and then there's the monster you have to go take down. And that part of it's pretty interesting, because there's stuff going on like, I guess probably because of the hardware limitations, the way it works is it's multi-zoned, but they're kind of like, there's a big map, but it's broken down into like, you could even like say like Zelda type zones of like not fixed screen stuff, but like, how Zelda just will have like almost like a room-like arena with some stuff going on in it. Zelda's not the best analogy, but this is true. Like, there's just a little zone where you can run around, and there's enough for like 3 animals, some herbs to collect and stuff, and then there's 2 paths, maybe 1 or 2 paths out of it. And then, there's like loading screens in between them, but they're real short because it's cartridge. And when you go to hunt the monster, it will actually like traverse these screens on its own. So it wanders, you have to find it, and then when you wound it at a certain point, it'll run away. So these monsters seem to have like behaviors and weaknesses and like preferences, and they'll like sleep to heal. So
You're,
like
freaking me out with how much this is like Dark Souls now. Like,
how
I don't know, just like all the things you're bringing up, like
like
fighting style,
sleeping and what?
the fighting style and stuff. Like I never realized how much like it was like Dark Souls. But I'm kind of like reliving it in my brain. I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of similarities.
I mean, I don't see where you're drawing that from though right now. Like what part of what I
Just,
said?
like combat style and like.
Oh, you're still thinking about what I said like
That was
5
a
minutes
while
ago
ago.
still? Yeah, okay.
Tom's been
behind.
processing.
Tom's like, everybody stop. Thought about that first thing you said. You're right.
So basically, just to wrap around what you did, it sounds like there's a lot of meandering, and then there are meandering like through the explanation of how it's set up, and it's really kind of zone-based areas that branch and
Yes.
loop back on themselves. At
Thank
some
you.
point.
Yes, that's what I'm trying
That's
to say.
it.
And there's a huge amount of drops you get, a huge inventory system, but of course a limited inventory system. So I don't know what any of this shit does. I've got to manage it, collect it, throw some of it out, sell it, but I don't know what most of it does. And that's like really time consuming. And it's just got like, feels like old systems like that, I guess. Like just
that
like
taking
that's what
kind of
RPGs do, so they do it.
The Dark Souls angle of just here's a ton of shit. We're not telling you what any of it is. Go online and engage with the community to figure it out.
Maybe. But this is more like ingredients and recipes and stuff like that.
Later, like you want to build like this shield, you need some kind of like weird ore.
Yeah, like exactly. There's ore, there's plants, there's bone parts, there's like all kinds of different plant. Like it's the most extensive crafting system of any game, really. Like I mean,
It's pretty dank.
no, it's not dank. It is undank. It's dry.
I love it. I love it.
I see, and I understand that. Like I know some people do. It's for some people. It's just it's not.
Not
For
No
for you,
game
yeah.
ever pissed me off as much as that one. Like there were ones I was fighting, and the whole problem I have with the game is kind of like my own personal problem. It's meant to be played with your friends.
See, and
But I
that's
don't
the
have
other.
friends to play with, so I've been like,
Guys, I don't have
playing
friends.
And
I'm at the point where there's like 600-foot crab that's like
Right.
knocking down the city, and I have like all the top tier shit, but it doesn't do anything.
And I got a sense of that in that first monster I hunted. Like, it took me a long time to kill him. And that's when it kind of dawned on me, like, oh, you're meant to go out and with, like, packs of people.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to, like, coordinate to take down a monster. And that sounds awesome. But
So I mean, if
I didn't
people
engage
play
that.
by themselves, respect.
Yeah.
That shit blows.
I have a friend who played Monster Hunter Tri for a while, and like everything that you're saying about like the zones and then like the combat and all the like, do I need this or can I just throw it out? Like, yeah, I watched him play a lot of it, and he was always like, shit, like I have so much stuff and I don't know what it is.
Right. And that's just not fun to me.
Yeah.
You know?
'Cause, I mean, especially like for me when I play games, I like agonize about like, you know, do I need this? And I always want to like hold on to a bunch of stuff like just in case. And then like if it's like you
And
have
it's,
to
like-
throw it out and you have no idea what it is, it really
It's
bothers
just
me.
a completely like needless system to me. It's complicated, it's tedious, and
Well, I mean,
I get no reward out of it, and it can be avoided completely.
Think about it this
to
way.
play the advocate of it. Go ahead.
You have a pet pig that you can dress like a watermelon.
Yes.
Okay.
Where are you gonna
Okay,
get that?
game of the year.
Guys, we're done. This is a great
That's
game
what
now.
I-
Wrap it up. Shut it down. Dev is
Have the
over.
cat followers.
There's a pig
They're
you can
cats
dress
in
up
this
as a
one, yeah.
fucking watermelon.
They're dope. I got
They
one
help you
named
gather.
Rubik. He's like a little
And there's a whole
Russian dude.
cat
He beats
system.
the shit out of people.
There's a cat
We're
system.
talking
So
about
this
cats
game
again.
has got everything.
Pretty
Sounds
much.
phenomenal. It's
That's
got crafting. It's got pigs
Cats.
dressed as watermelon. Cat minions.
The pet
I mean-
pig has a purpose though, because you start petting him, and then if you stop petting him in the right amount of time, his little heart pops up, and he loves you for petting him for that perfect amount of time. But that correlates to cooking steak.
I thought you were gonna say bacon.
Well, there's steaks, but I mean, I guess there's probably pork in there too. But it correlates. It's like training you so you cook perfect steaks every time.
That's actually as
But it's
absurd as that is,
unsaid.
as absurd as that is, that's actually kind of an interesting little mechanic of
Yeah.
to have
Completely
something
unspoken. You just have to like
just
be
something
like,
else in the game that like shows you is like, oh, you got the timing on this is the way to do it, and then there's another thing that comes up that's like you got to time right, and it uses that timing. That's kind of interesting. But I mean, to spin back a little bit on like the crafting stuff, I feel like the second you add crafting to any game, you've just expanded your inventory and item set and use cases for all your inventory like exponentially. And that's the point of it, right? Is to make it so it's not boring and to allow you to pick up all this extra stuff and have a use for it. I mean, that was the whole point of the crafting system in Fallout 4 was in Fallout 3 and the previous ones, you could pick up almost everything in the world, but an ashtray was useless. Like, and you very early on was like, you just don't pick those things up at all. So the developers came and was like, well, we have all this stuff. It's all interactable. We need to give the people a reason to interact with it. Hence, crafting system was part of it. Yeah. And now ashtrays are actually really valuable because you get, ceramics out of it and whatever, and those are valuable resources. Yeah. So it serves a purpose, but I completely agree that it's not for everybody. Like, those systems don't speak to a lot of people, but those that do, like, you just gave them a depth of experience that you can't get other places. So maybe that's why I'm hearing so much hype around Monster Hunter.
Yeah, that's 100% the thing. I was like, oh, I see there's a tremendous amount of depth here, but, like, it's just, I don't care.
I'm 100% with you in that mindset.
But I have cared at times, and I have felt very rewarded by those systems before.
Right, when you finally get all the stuff to craft like the legendary thing that you've had your eye on, and you finally get it, and you're like, and then you have the IKEA effect where since you made it, now it's cooler than anything that you found in the game. Like, even if it's not quite as strong as something you get for killing like the boss or whatever, it's like, no, I made this, I crafted this is my gun. Yeah, I'm going to use this thing.
I love that.
So but I'm 100% with you that at this point in my life, if you make me wait for those kind of things, it's like, not for me.
Navigate menus and sorting my inventory and run from this guy to that guy to this guy and like, I'm over it.
The monsters, like, they just want to run. So you chase them through every zone. You're out of food.
Yeah,
so
that happened to my friend.
Like blinking red.
Right, and there's like a food and stamina and healing system, and that's all like crafting and cooking system. It's like MMO level crafting, really. Mm-hmm. Which is actually interesting.
This game sounds really intense. I mean,
and I think
the system.
I've never
thrown
a game system more than I threw my PSP at the wall.
You've made no points as to why you like this game. You just talk about how
apparently he doesn't. He hates it, but he remembers all the stuff. He's like, I see what it was like, but it pissed me off.
Finally, like, cut that thing in half and it's dead in front of me. I'm like, that's right.
Are you still talking about the game?
No, the monsters.
Yeah, when I kill a dragon, like, cut its face off, I'm like, that's right. I spent 6 days doing this. And then I just put my PSP away and I don't touch it for 6 months, and then I go on to the next one. I'm like probably 8 years in.
And 2 bosses down.
Yeah, right.
Probably about halfway through the game.
Yeah, I think
friends.
Also, I think if you're not playing it with friends, which I'm not, you're missing a lot of the point of this game.
Me and Greg aren't friends. We don't play together.
I do have friends. They just don't play this game.
Right?
They play Dark Souls.
It does sound like it's a game that you want to party up and play. Yeah. It sounds like that's kind of the point. And
exactly. Like, it's almost like you can't do it without friends. I would almost even go that far to say.
That's kind of like a cool image in my head, though. Like, getting a bunch of people together to go, like, hunt down the monster. Like, it feels more, like, I don't know, realistic, I guess, than, like, I'm gonna go, like, kill this.
It's more like because you're monster hunting. It's like a tribe going out, like a hunting party, and like you guys are working. It's like actually the most primal thing in us as humans, really.
And somebody kind of picks the quest or whatever, right? Like, I mean,
you have to go in
as opposed to like an MMO where it's like, this is just the raid. It's more like you guys and your little band decide to go do this thing, and there's not a million people running around in the world, right? Or are there?
No, there's not. You're by yourself until you.
So this is a thing that I've been looking for forever. Is that I've been dying for a role-playing game that had like these kind of deep systems that wasn't single player and it was not a damn MMO.
This is your game, man.
I did not.
Right,
I do not want to.
Futscher's going to stop playing Darkest Dungeon and start playing Monster Hunter now.
Slow down.
Bring my PSP and I'll get you hooked.
Well, I don't have the system to play it on anyway. But yeah, that's something that I've talked about on this podcast before. Like, when they were talking about doing Elder Scrolls Online or like Fallout Online, I was just No,
Like, you just
stop.
don't want the
Yeah.
MMO
Let me play
aspect of
Fallout
it.
4 with like a party of 3 people.
Right.
Like, let me play Skyrim with
Yeah.
4 friends.
I don't know
and
why.
no one else in the world. No random griefers. No random people running around doing their bullshit. Just us on a quest.
That's
I-
exactly the way
100%.
I am. I like hate the whole MMO thing. I just like can't deal with that many people like running around. Like as you said, like the people who are like griefers or like whatever. It's just like
And those things become
crazy.
needlessly grindy because, well, I shouldn't say needlessly because the need is there because they have to extend the playtime of their base. Like those things, the second they run out of content, they're
gonna be-
dead in the water. So they stretch out as they milk every piece of content they have for every drop they can get out of it, which translates to basically time locking and experience gating everything and locking away content so people can't just blow through it and making people go collect 100 herbs before they can do the next thing, which is nonsense. Which you wouldn't have to do if you're just playing with 4 people. Like in Skyrim, you don't never have to go pick 100 herbs for no reason. You could go do it if you wanted to, but there's no like you can't do the main quest until you go pick fucking 1,000 things.
Yeah.
You know, so those kind of things where it's just pick an objective and go for it. And yeah, this sounds awesome now.
But that's the thing, though. The monster hunting part that is really thrilling is like one quest of like 15 before that are just like kill a million things to get this one, to get 3 berries that you'll never see.
And
right?
that's the thing that makes me not want to play it.
It makes me not.
Is because
exactly.
I don't have 10 hours in my life to do anything, let
There you
alone
go.
just grinding to go get to the good part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's good. I think it probably is really fun for younger people that have a lot of time and stuff on their hands.
the fact that it's mobile sounds really cool too. Like that
Yeah.
idea of like you could be in like a public space and just like meet up with people. And
Yeah.
you don't have to do it at your house or something.
Yeah, I'd love to see how that unfolds in the world if you're out and playing it and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess we should probably move on. But just to wrap it up, like, seems like a cool game. Not for me. I could be. I'm definitely missing some of the core components of this game. I have not engaged, so
The point is to bring into like the social aspect, which we haven't
Yeah.
touched at all yet. I mean, the systems sound really cool. I just wish they were less grindy and time wasty.
I was hoping it was going to be like, oh god, I can't remember this game right now.
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
No, Shadow of the Colossus, but
Oh,
like
that's-
party
yeah.
based or something like that. I was hoping it was going to be like a more hunty Shadow of the Colossus instead of like go here, monster comes out, kill it. I thought it was going to be more like learn this monster, understand this like its patterns, and maybe that stuff is back there because I only killed the first boss.
When you
Yeah,
kill like the bigger ones, you got to figure them out. 'cause
right,
those
exactly.
people
And I was
also
hoping the
do
whole
shit.
game was going to be just that, but there's a lot of like just traditional, just at this point for me, very stale grinding.
Well, it's too bad. I mentioned before how like they came up with that idea to add all these little interactions with the crafting and stuff into Fallout and whatnot. And a lot of people complained about like the grindiness of it, but the nice thing about that in Fallout was it's completely optional. You don't have to do that. And much like you were talking about, Kendall, before, when I first started playing Fallout 4, I was picking up everything. I was just over encumbered all the time. And then I got a companion and I made them carry everything until they were over encumbered, and then I carried what I could, and then we'd warp back to and drop off everything.
Yeah.
And that's how the game kind of started. But I very quickly fell into, I'm going to pick up all the stuff that I see useful, but I'm not carrying all this shit anymore. Like,
yeah, I
and-
really like the system where you can like mark what you need and it has that little like magnifying glass thing, and so you know like what to pick up and what you can just leave. Like I feel like if I went back into my workstation where I've just like dumped a bunch of shit and like I weeded out everything I didn't actually need, I would make so much money just selling it.
Well, I never felt poor in that game because I was rich in like resources. I never had to
Yeah.
buy anything, because the one thing in Fallout is you could craft everything that you need. You don't need to buy shit if you actually have the stuff.
You could always eBay your shit when you needed it.
Well, in the beginning, I picked up so much shit early in the game that it kind of carried me through the rest of the game. Like I didn't
Right.
need to carry all that shit all the time
Yeah,
after
exactly.
that. And I always had a companion that could carry stuff too, and I always made them carry my junk, and then I would just dump it off anytime I was by a town.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, here's the mini nuke and the rocket launcher, and I'll carry everything else.
But in the beginning of the game, like I was modding all my armor to have like deeper pockets so I could carry more stuff.
Oh yeah.
And all that kind of crap. And by the time I stopped playing, I had completely 180'd, and I got rid of all the deep pockets, and I actually made all my armor ultra light instead of being deep pocketed, and I only carried 2 pistols. I carried 2 pistols and like some stim packs and like a couple of drugs, and I made my companion carry my beer, and we were good to go. That was it. I was rolling with like a 20-pound kit, and it made the game so much more fun for me because it took out all that inventory over encumber.
I feel like it's
managing my over encumberment
too, because you can really tailor your inventory to like what you want it to be, and not just be like, oh, I need to like have all this stuff just because like the game is making me. Yeah, I mean, like I've like a loadout of like I think 4 different guns just so I can switch between the different types of ammo.
I had so much ammo; it was never a question. Because I could make my own. Like you could make your own ammo or whatever.
And I don't think a game should limit your inventory and have a weight system unless it's incredibly small, because that's the only time it's interesting. Otherwise, it's agonizing.
In like survival mode, it makes sense because it's trying to be like pushes the realism as hard as it can. So that makes sense. Like bullets have weight at that point. And everything.
Well, the nice thing about I appreciate that like certain things don't have weight. Like stim packs and bullets don't have weight, but there's other things that do. Actually, one of the first things that I caught when I was over encumbering myself all the time is like, where is all this extra weight? And I did like a complete triage of like basically the video game equivalent of somebody hiking the Appalachian Trail who's just like, fuck this shit, and they just dump their bag out on the trail. And it's like everything I don't absolutely need is going. And I was like, I'm carrying like 150 bandages or like 600 things of jet, which is like this little drug that is like 0.1 pounds. But when you have like 600 of them, that's like 60 pounds of shit.
I like never use any of those like drugs. I just like sell them immediately.
I just dumped them all. I dumped them all in the there's a couple that I kept on hand just in case. Like the Psycho Jet or like the Psycho Buff Out or whatever. Like these are like drugs of last resort. But other than that, it's
I just
like
find myself like not getting to the point where like I really need that, so I just don't use it. I'm like, all right, I have a couple of stim packs and guns, and I'm done.
Right. So early in the game, it was a bigger deal because I had to carry all these different kinds of guns because I had to manage my ammo, and I always felt like I needed like a I needed an option. Like when something jumped out at me, like I need to have a shotgun. If something's far away, I need to have like a rifle with like a scope on it. By the time my character started taking shape and I started upgrading him the way that I wanted to build out the character, and I had some of the skills that I wanted, those were completely unnecessary. Like I had the ability to handle any threat with 2 pistols, and switching to the other guns was just a matter of variety, not of survival. And I was like, why am I carrying all this shit then? There's no point.
Do you think that's like a sign of the game like not being challenging enough in the late game, or is that like actually working in its favor?
I mean, I think it works to its favor in the sense that I started role-playing kind of the character the way that I wanted to play them, and I started picking skills that fit that play style. And to its credit, the game basically rewards you for like consciously deciding to play certain ways, and then if you play within that play style, you're fine. So my character could not get in like a fist fight with a super mutant and survive. Like there's no way. My character was really weak and no physical damage, and I stopped even wearing, like I said, all my stuff was ultra light. Like I stopped even wearing armor. Like it was all the only armor I wore was because it had stat bonuses on it. Like I had like wristbands that had like plus agility and like plus like a luck and stuff on them. But that's the only reason I wore them. They had no armor. They had no protection value. So my playstyle was completely go into vats and kill everybody before anybody else can even know that I'm like that something's happening. And
I mean, there are definitely some people who do want to like do the whole like fist fight with the super mutant thing, but like I mean, you've definitely designed your character to just not do that.
Right. And so by the time I got all the skills that I needed, and I had the luck skills and the agility, like gunslinging skills, like pretty much maxed out. At that point, picking a shotgun or a rifle is actually a detriment.
It's not going to help.
If I pull out my 44 Magnum that's completely max crafted, it will kill almost everything in the game with a shot. And if it doesn't, I can force a crit and kill it like this next shot and then get all my VATs back. And I can bank criticals and whatever. I can go into the whole thing. But it basically rewards you for building out your character and then playing to that style. So it kind of almost not shoehorns you in, but like if you start very broad, like I'm carrying all this crap. And then once I kind of find out what works for my character and what doesn't, I just started shedding that other shit.
Yeah.
Because I kept hearing all these people complaining about being unencumbered, even in the over-encumbered, even in the late game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, once you've
you
kind of
don't need
figured
it.
your character out, why are you carrying around sniper rifles if you never snipe?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that thing weighs 30 pounds. Like, why are you carrying...
I could snipe one.
But maybe I might want to.
Maybe I get in a situation
I'm
where
like
I'm
that
way
in
out there and I
frickin'
need a sniper.
So
I
actually...
do that in New Vegas. It's so bad. I need to
There's
stop.
a spot in the game. It's the Dunwich...
Horrors?
Horror, like the quarry.
Horrors.
Like the the horse. So you got to go down into the quarry.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of long range stuff there, and so I went there with a 50 cal like Barrett's like sniper rifle, but I had like no skills in that or whatever. I even
so you
like
just
max crafted it out. I like made it as strong as it could be.
Yeah.
And I was shooting shit from the distance, and it was just doing nothing.
Yeah.
It was just doing nothing. Because I mean, you're playing on the hardest difficulty. You're not having like the perks to max these things out. These guys were just getting mad, and to the point where I basically just had to close the distance and take my Magnum out and deal with them. I also called in a artillery strike.
Have you seen the update? They like fucked them up kind of, but like in a good way. You know how you'd have to wait 5 minutes? It'll still pop up, say your artillery's reloading, but they'll call it in anyway. It'll still go through.
Oh
So you
yeah.
can just whip like 6 of them out. I got stuck in some like super mutant camp in like one of the what are they called, junkyards, and there's like this radio call thing, and they're like, "Hey, we're trapped in this bunker, and our air's gone, and we're all gonna die. So go turn the generator back on." So I'm like hiding in there, playing like on, I think it was survival. I'm just calling an airstrike, and nothing's happening. They're all just running around out there. Finally, like 3 hours later, I got out, turned the generator on, ran back, and hid. I went in there, and they're already dead. Like I should have guessed, because 90% of the emergency beacons they died like 200 years ago.
Yeah, they're all super old.
But I've been working on this gun, and I think it's the most like OP gun besides the last minute. It's the hunting rifle with a 50 cal barrel on it. It's got medium scope, short stock, short barrel, and the large quick eject mag. It's beautiful, and it does 2 projectiles for 1 shot, so it's like 400 damage. And if I like sneak, it's like, what is it, times 2.3, so it's like 850, like 1 shot everybody.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Great.
But you've been playing... So you're still playing a lot of Fallout, and
Hold
nobody
on.
gives you shit for that. I just want to point that out.
I know. I want to...
Because I'm graceful about
I just
it.
want to ask a question. What's the name of the gun?
What?
You named the gun?
Did you name it?
Not yet.
You didn't name
Oh,
it
come
yet?
on. You need to
Oh, you
name
got to
it.
name your gun. All
It's
my
gotta
guns
be,
had
like-
names.
Cool. And this is like the best. This is the top tier.
It's different.
So
It's not cool.
It
It's
needs
the
the
best.
best name. And
You're like, so
who
you
am
just
I?
haven't decided it
Who
yet?
am I to decide what the best name is?
What
Well, it's
are- what
definitely
are the
not
names?
like 50 cal rifle with a quick eject mag or whatever the
I mean,
game
it
gives
is
it.
right
like,
now.
I'm gonna call it like the compensator or something.
The comments.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Even though
What
it's
do
a very
you
small
name your
gun.
guns, Switch?
Oh man. I had names for so I maxed out like a shotgun that was really good like limb damage, and it was it was called like the kneecapper or something like that. I renamed the PP7 type silenced pistol you get to like, I think I actually named it something like the Golden Eye or something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheesy. Shit, what did I
Should
name
call
my
it Pierce
Magnum?
Brosnan.
Because that was my main weapon. Was I had a 44 Magnum that I did like all the gun nut perks and like all, so it was all like maxed out, and that was the gun that could basically kill Deathclaws.
Yeah.
And I forget what I called it. It was something stupid though. It'll come to me in like a minute. I know
Yeah.
it was useless.
Revisit this later. I started a tradition with Far Cry 3 where I got like, I forget what gun it was, but I got like a gun in that game. It was my favorite gun. I called it the "fuck you" gun because it like literally one-shotted everyone, and sent most of them flying backwards. And so all of my guns in Fallout are like the "fuck you" pistol and like the "suck a butt" shotgun or like something like that.
Kendall song "Fuck You" series.
Yes, exactly.
Picturing that as like an infomercial. It's like,
Yeah.
you buy the fuck you gun today. We're gonna throw in a free suck it shotgun.
No, I literally want my I think my favorite. I think it's a pistol. Is literally like the "fuck you" pistol. I don't know. I'd have to go back in because it's like they're just gorgeous names.
So yeah, not to take us derail us because I do want to keep talking about some Fallout a little bit because you've been playing all the DLCs.
Yeah,
I haven't
buddy.
touched the game in a hot minute, so I'm interested to see what they added and changed. But to the point of our last podcast when we talked about Darkest Dungeon, and somebody said that I need to name a character Discreet.
That was me.
So
Discreet.
I named my main highwayman Discreet. He's
Thank
still
you.
alive and well. But then I started a tradition again. Basically, I never named any of my
How'd you
characters in that
spell
game.
it?
D dash capital SKREET.
I
Yes.
did, the K
Discreet.
was what I was looking for. Yeah.
Discreet. And so I started naming all my legends.
To anyone who's not up on our podcast, this is a callback to the previous podcast.
so
In which John nicknamed himself.
No. So in the game, level 6 is the highest level you can get to for a character, and then they're like called legendary
That's
status.
not many levels.
But
you
it's
don't need anything more
you don't
than
need
that.
more.
Why don't they go to 11?
Because fuck you.
So I haven't named any of the characters in the game. I just let them have their base names. I didn't want to. It's like the rookies. It's like I don't want to know your name because you might not make it.
I don't want to care
You're
about
just
it.
looking to me.
So since I named the character Discreet, I went back, and at the time I only had like 3 other legendary characters, and I gave them all new names, and now that's a new thing. Like now, when any character levels up to level 6, they get a name.
Oh, that's great. What are some of the other names that you said?
You gotta earn it.
Yeah.
You gotta
yeah,
earn it.
I did that. Except I didn't do it with. I was waiting. I was doing that in XCOM. I was like waiting until like people leveled up, and then I'd give them a name to somebody in the space. Except John D. Fernando, and he died on his like first mission. Like the second action he ever took in the game, he just got lit.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And I think that's actually when I put that rule in. I was like, all right,
You don't want
I
to.
can't start with like
Yeah.
the paper thin guys. Like that's just gonna
Yeah.
Because then you like I don't like once a guy dies, I don't want to name another guy that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing is I was like, I can't care about you, but if you've made it this far, if you're level 6, you've seen some shit. And I probably
deserve it.
and I've probably developed a personality for you in my head at this
Right.
point because you've been on enough
Yeah.
missions where like I know how you play and you've seen some certain things. So all level 6 characters get names now.
Yeah.
And
What are some of your other names?
oh
I want to
man.
know. I'm very curious.
Dirk Diggler.
Well, actually, one of my Hellions, her name's Longblood because she bleeds people out in the back row. She's really good at that.
Oh, no.
Greenlong is one of my plague doctors. He's dope at like poisoning people. Captain Two Eyes. He's that's EYEZ. Because he's a man at arms and he's got an eye patch, so he only has one eye. So he's Captain Two Eyes.
That's
See
beautiful.
what you did there.
Yeah. And there's many more.
I have a system for Dark Souls, but it's pizza based.
Oh.
So it's like I have several characters, and all of them they're always across all games I do it. So I have like stuffed crust. I have Pizza Lover was my first one, and then my next one was Mrs. Pizza, and then my next one was Calzone, and then extra toppings, and now I'm doing a soul level 1 run of Dark Souls 1 where I'm going to play through the whole game and without leveling up, and that guy's name is Thin Crust.
I thought it was going to be like plain dough.
Yeah, that's what I was going for, something
Yeast.
like that. Yeah. Margarita, just cheese.
But yeah, no, I like that, and I haven't played XCOM 2 yet, but I know we talked about that in the past, and that was great. I love the idea of just like naming it after like people you know.
It's the best.
And
That's
then
hysterical.
my favorite thing was when Clark was talking about. We told him about doing this, and he was playing XCOM at the time, and he named one of his characters after his wife.
Oh.
And then it turned into this thing where anytime that she was in danger, he was basically just like throwing bodies at the problem. He's like, he's like, you've all died heroically saving Kelly.
Oh, yeah. Who's like, she better be at least somewhat useful.
Yeah.
So anyway, to bring it all back to Fallout, it's kind of crazy to think that game's still being played since I haven't played it in over 6 months at least, probably 8 months now.
Still going hard.
I'll
never quit.
So what's new in the world of Fallout, and what are all these DLCs?
Since
in the
last
high
time
level?
I've been on, like all the DLCs have come out, except for I think Nuclear World's the last one, and then one comes out this month, I believe. But I think it started with Automatron, which is like they brought back the Mechanist. That was pretty dope. You got to go down this layer and fight like 4 billion robots that just kick the shit out of you for like.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
I think I gave up on it at one point, and then I forgot about it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I never beat that. And then I went down there and just smoked everybody.
So it's just like Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Gotta take breaks.
That's a crazy thing that happens all the time, and not just in games. We were talking about it even just earlier in the space about like when you're working on a project. Sometimes you get stuck and you just gotta like
gotta walk away for a while.
You gotta walk away
Yeah.
because that happens all the time. Where it's like you get stuck at something in a game,
That happened to me with
and you
playing
just
tennis,
you can't do
actually.
it, and then you wait a day and you go back and play it and you beat it on the first try.
But
Why was this so hard?
I like
Just
Forrest
crush it.
Gump walk away. Like I run across the country like 3 times before I come back to it.
No, that happened with tennis. I like learned how to play tennis in high school, and then like the next year I came back and I was like one of the single players on the team. Like I was one of the best. I hadn't played the entire year. And I came back, I was like, I got good.
What'd you do all summer? Played games.
Yeah.
Got better at games in general.
Yeah.
This is a game, right? Crushing it.
Yeah, so what are your other
After
DLCs?
that one, there was how was it called? Some workshop.
That's where they added making cages and putting
Yeah, like the Deathcloth cages.
putting
fighting.
Percy in the claw
They
cage.
got
with
armor
the-
racks. No, that didn't come with that. That was a different one. I don't even remember what they're all called. But yeah, the one came out with a bunch of bullshit you could add to your settlement. It's kind of fun. I mean, there's concrete, so I rebuilt my house, made it look more like a prison, less like a hobo shack. Hobo shack.
So Greg, you're gonna
Either
cut
way.
out the correction
Either way.
there.
I didn't say it.
No, I mean like
Hobo.
cut out the correction. So
But yeah. And then Far Harbor comes out. That one's cool. You go to like classic Boston Island with lobsters and fishermen, and you just kind of roll around up there. There's all these giant lizard salamander things. I think they're called gulpers. You gotta kill all those. There's like
Gotta kill all those. I do just like it's like, you know, there's a new enemy, so you
Gotta
there's
kill
this,
them.
There's this new thing. It's called something like this. I don't know. I killed all.
there's a synth dude who's like, I don't want to do too much spoilerness, but he's kind of
You're
like
not
Nick,
spoiling shit
like
right
Nick
now.
Valentine.
spoiling shit for me.
They
It's
have a
alright.
little thing going on, not like a sexy thing, but
History.
I don't know. You just run around. It's like Fallout but foggy. It's not optimized well at all, so it just lags.
Yeah, I
and
saw you playing it, and it was
pixelates almost. It's got this weird just shittiness to it. And
It was
like,
Why isn't it
like-
optimized?
surprisingly low
That's weird.
frame, like to the point
Yeah,
where it's like, why would you release this?
And also questionable in the sense that fog usually increases frame rate.
Right? Yeah, that's the
You
other
can
thing, right?
obscure like distant geometry.
I think
So
it's
you don't
like-
have to draw it all.
it's like the light rays or something. Like,
It's weird.
Well, that could be it. I mean,
It's
like
really
that.
because like I know if it looked good, it would look really fucking good. But right
I
now,
mean, if
it's,
they were doing like
trying
full
too
on
hard.
like global illumination through the trees and whatnot, like you probably could get some really crazy effect. But those are expensive effects to pull off. You need serious graphics card.
It's got to be like just related to how old that engine is, and I'm sure it's optimizable, but it probably is just like insane to do at this point.
I've kind of pulled the same shit I did with the Mechanist. I'm like halfway through Far Harbor, and I'm just like, so I like floated out of that, and then they came out with
Why'd you go?
some other one.
Why didn't you finish it?
It just didn't capture me the way I think I thought it would. There
Was that
like this
because
whole-
of technical limitations, or just because it wasn't going anywhere interesting?
Yeah, I mean they kind of like did this whole like Nick and other synth guy thing, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but you're supposed to like go deeper. and I
Was
don't
it
really-
gay robots?
No,
Oh.
I said it wasn't a sexy thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you said it was.
But there's you're supposed to like recover his memories because they're like pulling all his memories out and storing them all on all these ships that are out everywhere. I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that. I'm like, I don't care what he remembers from 200 years ago. So I kind of bailed on that one, and they came out with another one that
So it just wasn't compelling story-wise.
not really.
One also, if it's like, go collect all the memories. One of 73. Ah, damn it.
Right.
Yeah.
If I
One
see
of
that, I'm-
nope.
Yeah. One of tap out immediately.
Yeah.
It was one of
like
three, maybe.
It's like 5, I think.
I have a
They're all on
quest
different
open and
ships.
I don't even remember which game it is right now, but it's like you have to go like find like 10 things. So I'm just like, hell no.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's people out there that engage with that stuff, but I just don't understand the random collection aspect.
It's supposed to be this like background of this character. It's kind of very similar concept, and I'm just like, I don't give even half a shit about this character. Like, no, I'm not finding your crap for you.
I feel like Fallout wise, it's just like go explore because we put all this time and effort into this island.
Yeah.
So go walk around and look at shit. But
Which is fine. Which
if it looked good, I would.
You could just have a quest that's like explore the island, like map the island.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that'd be a cool quest to just kind of like find all the corners of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, have shit happen when you show up, which is usually how that game works.
Yeah.
I recently started a new survival character too, and just getting my ass kicked. Like I got like the best armor I can find, and somebody throws a Molotov, and I'm done.
Oh.
I was going through the Museum of History in the beginning, and I'm like real slow, checking every room, every corner. Somehow some guy got behind me with a pool stick and just walks up, cracks me, and I lost everything.
Wow.
And I was like, God.
Oh, it's permadeath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't play. See, that game is like the fidelity of control and the flow of action is not.
I feel like if
It's
you
not
play it, they
deliberate
have like
enough.
sleeping bags added in, only in that one, because kind of along the way,
Yeah.
if you're like following the main missions, there's like sleeping bags everywhere, but like I was doing that one where you track down Kellogg, and I killed all this stuff. We're almost there, and this bear just comes out of nowhere and just like bitch slaps
Yeah,
me.
that's the
I'm
thing.
done.
Like you can't. Yeah,
I'm like, it was like 2 hours of me running around like finding cigars for dog meat.
that game's too chaotic
I'm
for like
dead.
such a sensitive system.
Yeah. And you gotta drink water all the time, eat.
I mean, those systems sound awesome, but yeah, the chaos of it could lead to some real frustration. I love the idea of it. Kind of like also
I do
like,
really like the idea. Yeah.
like DayZ. Like I
Yeah.
love the idea of DayZ. I've never even really considered installing it and playing it.
I have. I got pretty deep into it, and really that was really good. I thought like it was a little too much of the simulation stuff, and I thought it would benefit from being streamlined in a lot of ways, but it was cool. Like it made very tame situations feel very like things that seemed very tame actually feel extremely loaded, and like you just had to. Everything felt important, and the way you traverse the land had to be really intentional, and like it was important to like think about your tree lines, and like you really had like almost like the stuff I wanted to happen in Monster Hunter, where you had to just like work your environment and use it to your advantage as much as anything else. It's pretty cool. But then it would also be like, you know, you would like a zombie would hit you and you'd just bleed out because you couldn't find a bandage for like 10 miles, which was, I don't know, like that's
Yeah.
kind of cool,
I mean,
but it's also really frustrating.
It's like I really like the idea, but I also I never like honestly actually considered playing it myself because
it's
I
such a
can't-
slow burn.
it's such a slow burn, and then the whole slow burn can just end with one person who's playing the game all the time just like sniping you from a mile away, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And that just seems really just random and cruel and nonsensical, and it's like, okay, that
Yeah.
sounds like a cool story, but I don't need to spend 40 hours of my life to get that story.
right.
You know, like
The one guy I watched do Let's Plays, I think you've seen a little bit of his stuff. He did a DayZ thing like back in the day when DayZ was cool. And that's like one of the ones I watched through a lot because it's like he plays it totally different. Like his whole thing is like he sucks at games. So he just acts like an asshole the whole time, and it's hilarious. But in this one, he would like walk up to a tree line and see a helicopter crash like 2 miles away, and he's like, "We're not going over there yet." And he's like, "Let's look at the tree line, make sure there's no snipers because somebody's camping that."
Right.
And you'd see some dude in a
'Cause
ghillie
when that
suit.
happens,
I would
you know,
never like even.
Everybody's
give a shit.
going there now. Like basically a flare went off and everybody's going to go check it out. So like
Yeah.
that area is hot now. Like
He's like,
you
slow
gotta
down. Let's
really-
slow this down. And he's like
Right.
checking the tree line, sees some guy, shoots him, and he's like, "Okay, I need 2 guys over here. I need me here. I'm gonna run over there, get this guy's shit,
He's the worst.
make sure nobody shoots me." And I was like, "Damn, he's actually
And that game also had
into it.
proximity-based voice chat, which was really cool because you'd be
Oh.
rifling through like
yeah,
a
that
room
too.
and you'd hear people and you'd be like, "Fuck, stop. Everybody stop!" Like me and my friend would be like, "Stop, stop," and then we'd like look around, and try to like find the people, like use the sound and find. And I loved that. That
That's
was the
awesome. I
best.
didn't know
Yeah.
it had that.
Yeah, it was really
That's
cool.
really cool.
I thought there was that in The Division too.
I think there is too. Yeah. The Division
proximity.
seemed like it was trying to work a lot of DayZ into ideas into it as well. And
Right, I
thought-
mean, even like directly sending up a flare to basically draw people when you're trying to get stuff out of the dark zone and all that.
yeah, stuff like the survival elements. And I want a game that's somewhere between the Division and DayZ. That would be cool.
You
But-
can't see Rust at all.
Uh,
Anyways,
I've
played it?
seen
Yeah.
like a
played a
not
little bit
good
of it, and I have a
playthrough.
friend that's really into it.
Because that game, it looks fun.
Yeah.
He's been the guy I watch play Let's Plays. He's been doing that one a lot
problem-
too.
I feel like Rust, like, if you don't know what you're doing, it's hard to jump into it.
And
Yeah.
also, there's an incredible, like, more than any other game, there was, like, trolling going on. Like, it's
yeah.
all high school kids trolling. That's the whole game when I played it. And it was just completely unfun.
Usually mess with each other, and I've got no time for any of this.
Exactly.
See,
I don't
the
have
problem,
time.
the problem that I'm faced with, which, like the Monster Hunter example, or even like the new Fallout stuff, the ideas sound really cool, and I'd like to engage with them, but the fact that they take like 10 hours to like even start just instantly takes them off the list of something I'm actually going to play.
Right.
Because I just can't. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. And when you don't have time for that, there's almost nothing that you can actually engage with
There's
with
nothing.
systems that deep that you can actually engage with in under that time frame. Like, it's almost required to get
Right.
to become immersed into a world and set of systems and understand what everything is, to make logical, intelligent decisions about like what you keep, what you chuck, and how you do your stuff. You need to have been in there for a while.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just start Fallout and know not to pick up, crap that you don't need. You have to kind of figure it out, like what's useful to you, because it might not be somebody else. I don't know.
I feel like I'm getting to that tier. Like, No Man's Sky is going to come out, and that's going to be the last one I binge play, and then I'm going to be too old to like pull that shit. So,
Oh, man.
No,
I'm
there's-
so excited for No Man's Sky.
It's not an age thing; it's a time thing.
well, yeah, when you get older, you get more responsibilities, you get busier.
That's true.
Like, I only play Fallout like once a week now, and like I put like 3 hours in, and then I'm like, shit.
I don't even play anything once a week
I
now.
gotta-
Although I have played a little bit of Raw Data,
There we go.
which
There's a segue.
yeah, like that.
I did. Fuck Fallout.
So, well, I mean, this is an interesting thing because we were talking about this yesterday a little bit with Raw Data is a VR game for the Vive that basically allows you to play wave-based battle against robots with swords or dual pistols. and
Freaking
whatnot.
terrifying robots.
Yeah, they're crazy robots, but it's a pretty sweet game. It's actually a lot of fun. There's not much to it. It's only in early access right now. There's only like 4 levels and 2 characters, and they're
There's
adding new
definitely
abilities.
more than 4 levels, just saying.
There's more than 4 levels
Just saying.
on the roadmap, but there's not more
Yeah.
than 4 levels you can play right now.
Okay.
So,
I feel like yesterday when I was playing, you guys were talking about the vest things, and I feel like that would have been really necessary because they're like crawling on my back, the little legless dudes.
oh yeah,
I can't tell. All of a sudden, I'm just kind of flashing red, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that's a tricky thing. to
touching my
do.
butt over there.
I mean, in any game really, but
Mhm.
especially when it's first person and you're in it and you're looking around, knowing if you're being hit in the back without like a really big visual indicator. So we were talking about like these vests that basically just rumble like the point on your body where you've been hit, like haptic feedback. People are working on those. Some folks out of Rochester. It's cool stuff.
That was really cool.
But anyway, yeah. So it's only in early access. So there's bugs in it, but they released a roadmap. They're adding more to it every week. They've released a couple updates already. Now that is a game that, especially in early access right now, really kind of respects your time. Like right when you load up the game, it says, "Hey, we're in early access. We've removed all the grind." So when the full version of the game releases, there's going to be things where you have to kind of like level up, like get credits to unlock and like steal tech and then like use the credits to unlock them to get new abilities for your character and whatnot. And the way that the early access version basically works, every time you beat a level, you basically get a new ability.
Mhm.
Like it unlocks it and you have enough credits to buy it.
Mark unlocked the dual wielding pistols the other day, which is cool.
which
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah, those have become quite the big hit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the sword character
Yeah.
myself.
I
I
wish-
usually
I wanted
rock the sword
2
character.
swords, that would be freaking.
Well, now that I've unlocked some more of her abilities,
Yeah.
it's actually cool to not have 2 swords.
yeah, because
Actually,
she does like the force.
you can do like a
stuff,
force push,
yeah.
and she also has like shurikens you can shoot,
Ooh.
as well as like throwing the sword and
Yeah.
whatnot. I also like using the you get bonuses for using 2-handed swordness.
Fair. I always forget about that.
Yeah, if you use both hands on the sword, it actually powers it up, and you do a lot more damage.
Yeah.
I also just unlocked yesterday counter reflect. So anytime somebody shoots at you with the sword character, you can block it back by just like holding the sword in front of the bullets, and it just bounces back as a reflection. Whatever your aim, just do it in your head. Some ball bouncing off a wall, right?
Yeah.
But now I unlocked an ability where if you actually like swing into it, a la like Star Wars style. Like instead of just like holding it in front of it, you actually like swing into it and hit the bullet. It'll automatically go right back at the character that shot it.
Oh,
So it makes it more active, where you're not just like holding the sword in front of you and like knocking them back. Like it encourages you to actually like take a swing at them and hit them like a baseball. And if you do it right, it goes right back at the person that shot you or shot at you, and it makes it a lot more effective. So it's cool little things that they've done, but they did a really good teleportation technique. You know, all these games kind of traverse the room with teleport, but this one actually does like a linear interpolation. Like it doesn't just flash you there. You actually do like a little bit of movement to the spot, but it feels really nice. So we got on the conversation of VR traversal again, and we were talking about the Solace Project and some of the other bigger games, and how, as skeptical as we were and watching other people play some of these games, it seems like it actually works, because Mark has been playing Vanishing Realms a little bit here and there too, which is like an RPG in VR. And that's like a full-on, like, you know, it's not wave-based like Red 8. It's actually you traverse like a castle and go like into caverns and stuff.
I kind of broke the Solace Project with the teleport and the fact that if you get into a space and then you just walk, you can get through walls. So I was like exploring this like weird little passageway thing that I'd actually like I came out from this underground area and I'd walked right by it because it's like this little tiny sliver in the wall and it's like a crawl space and there's like stuff in there. But then you like break this one area and you drop down and there's like these they're kind of like mummy caskets, but you can't get back up. So I honestly like didn't know how to get out of there, but I glitched myself like through a wall, and I came out into this like cavern, and now I'm like too scared to play the game again because I don't know how to get out of there, and it's really dark one way, and there's something that I need to power first the other way. So I'm like,
But nothing has actually attacked you or scared you in this game yet.
It's literally all in my head.
Yeah,
it's insane.
That's good. I'm not saying you should you're being irrational or anything. I think that's really cool.
Okay, well, part of it is because in the trailer, there's like this mysterious like, it's kind of like a mist, but it has like spiky things, and like it definitely looks like it's going after the player in the trailer. So I'm just like,
wait,
the knowledge that is somewhere in this game is like getting to me really hardcore.
So, I mean, the thing you fell into and, like, glitched into, it could be you're actually supposed to go down there and not be able to get back out. I mean, that happens in Half-Life, like, all the time. Is you drop into a new area, there's no going back.
The part that I dropped into, I was definitely supposed to get in there. And I couldn't figure out a way to get out. And I, like, there was, like, this, thing where it was, like, sort of, like, slatted, basically, and you can, like, see through the, slats. And you can see, like, there's this room down there, and I was like, alright, well, I'm gonna get as close to this as possible, stand, like, in the middle of the room, and I'm just gonna walk forward and teleport myself down to the floor of this, like, cavern, and that's what I did, and I'm now there.
It is interesting in the sense that, with room scale, you could essentially break the game, like, at any point, if you're allowed to teleport close enough to certain spots. Because you could just stand in one corner of your room scale, teleport close to a wall, and then walk through it.
That's exactly what I did.
And there's almost no way to stop that that's comfortable and doesn't work. Like if you like force the player back and they're walking forward, you're going to make them sick.
Yeah.
So how do you prevent them from going through these new areas as opposed to like making sure there's like a boundary that's like even farther from the walls, that like the closest you can do like warping to it is like that'd be the edge of your bounding box. One of the great examples I saw right after the Vive came out, there's a lot of VR racing and flying games now, and the racing actually has taken off in the sense that the people who play those games like professionally, like the top racers, the people have like rigs in their rooms in the past where they've got multiple monitors around the thing and like wheels and all this stuff. People with VR headsets are smoking all those guys.
Oh, really?
And so now, like, the top people have to get, like, they're all jumping on, like, the VR stuff because it's so much easier to drive. Like, you're trying to, like, simulate being in a seat, like, having a couple monitors in front of you. But you actually have being able to just, like, head tracking. You can, like, look around and, like, see out, like, exactly, not only head tracking, but, like, depth. You can see exactly how far away that corner is and just drive around it. Like, you know, you're driving
it makes
your car.
it a lot more just, like, real driving.
Yeah, some people were talking about, like, Dirt Rally, and these dudes, this one guy was talking about how he basically went from being like one of the back of the pack drivers. He got an Oculus, and then now he's like top 5 like every race because like it's so much easier to
gets an Oculus
until everybody. Yeah, well, it's all going to be an even playing field soon.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
But it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be so much easier if you're kind of driving from that perspective. Now you have way more situational awareness, and it's so much easier to just stay online and do what you're supposed to do. But anyway, so with the Vive, with room scale, one of the first videos that came out was one of these racing games, and somebody was like sitting there, and if you like look down, you see your little character's body sitting in the driver's seat, and the guy's sitting there, and they're doing a demo on TV, and the dude who's playing stood up, took a step to the right and and moved his chair and sat back down and looked over, and you could see the headless body of like so he was basically sitting shotgun driving in the game because they couldn't stop him from walking around room scale. So even though he was like locked into the driver's seat, he just stood up and walked over, and so he was driving from the right side, like looking at his headless body to the left of him. The developers were all like, god damn it.
I feel like that's gonna spawn like a whole new generation of like YouTube videos. It's just people going in and like screwing around with like the room and like these games and stuff, and like seeing what they can
throwing up.
That too.
Well,
I was gonna ask, like, are there any like horror games out for the Vive yet? Or
a bunch.
Yeah. I'm sure. Because that's one thing. Like I never get scared at like scary movies. I don't usually get scared with like scary games, and then like Raw Data and the Solus Project, like I just cannot. It just gets in my head because you're so immersed in it. It's just like
Yeah, Raw Data, it was funny, and especially watching you play in particular, because you're very jumpy at one point, and you're quick, so when you jump, you're not just like, you like just do like a little shoulder thing, like, no, you hop back like 3 feet, like, and
let me tell you, my agility stat is like an 8.
But like whenever the robots creep up behind you and you like turn around, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, you said you saw like one of the shadow guys like get behind me, and you're just like, oh yes.
And you were like, and you put the gun to the side of his head and like shot him like execution style, like bang bang.
Holy shit.
It's one of those things you wish you were recording.
No, it was it leads to some cool stuff. I really like that you can have those moments. But there's some games that definitely horror in VR is the easiest one to kind of do, really. Because the biggest catch with horror is trying to immerse the player, and VR basically comes with like it kind of you've got that first wall kind of knocked down already, and so like Alien Isolation, people play that in VR. That's supposedly very freaky.
They should re-release Dead Space, the original.
They really should.
I don't know if third person would be as bad. Like first person kind of sets your headspace differently than if it's third person. You know it's not you. Like even though you always know it's not you, but it still sets the headspace different.
But you still feel like you're.
Wait, there's VR in third person?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Like Lucky's Tale, Chronos is like a Zelda type game.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't think it would, but it does.
That feels.
It would like I played
Clenching
Lucky's Tale on the Oculus. And
it feels like it feels like you're looking at like
you're like in God
toys
mode.
or something like that.
Stalking.
Picture like
diorama.
sitting in like a helicopter, like flying behind like another person. So it's like 3D, and you can look around.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
Brookhaven Experiment, the Mark grabbed. It's similar to Raw Data, where it's a kind of like a wave-based shooter type thing, but it's a zombie game, and it's all very dark, and the zombies are really creepy, and it's like limited ammo and this whole kind of thing. So that's one that a lot of people have been playing. But yeah, I think you're going to see a strong wave of horror in the first get-go, because that's the easiest thing.
Like half the games coming out, I see.
It's kind of the easiest thing to do. Not to make it sound like, not to trivialize people's work.
Well, but it is.
But as far as like trying to elicit an emotional response,
really
scaring people is kind of like the easiest thing to pull off, because you play the right music, you set the right cues, you can set that tone pretty easily. And
just because, like, as you said, like, the VR already does the immersion for you, so, like, a little bit goes a long way, too. So it's just,
Even, like, the Archer game, like, you're still pretty in it, even though it's, like, low poly. I mean, they're, like, literally 2D characters running around in a 3D world, and you're still like, fuck these guys. I'm gonna kill them all. There's real hatred there.
It's cool stuff. Definitely looking forward to seeing like what else we're going to get into soon with all that. Maybe make something this weekend in VR, possibly.
That sounds dumb.
Game jam.
Yeah, we have a game jam starting tonight at BGS, so it should be intense. Interested to see what the theme's going to be.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I'm wondering how it's all going to play out as like a summer weekend. Everybody piling in, seeing what we can make. I would like to try to do some VR stuff if we can, but I'm not going to shoehorn it in if it doesn't make sense. But yeah, it should be cool. I think we pretty much hit most of the points that we wanted to get into today. Anything else anybody wants to talk about?
Life.
A different
That's a
podcast.
conversation. Yeah, exactly. We can take that off.
That's the BGS. Eat, pray,
No.
game.
Yeah, so anyway, I think that'll wrap it up for this week. Check us out on all the usual spots, the website, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff.
Send us questions. info@buffalogamespace.com. We get a lot. We get so many, but...
And if you do ask a question, because we actually, joking aside, we do get a number of questions on our comment form through the website. And please don't ask a question. Can I make game? And will you make it for me? We get these questions fairly regularly. Come through and learn how to make a game yourself. We hope to help anybody who's interested in doing that type of stuff.
The answers are yes, you can make a game. No, we are not making it for you.
But if you want to work with us on whatever, especially at a game jam, come in and make something weird.
And send us questions to talk about on the podcast. Things you've been playing or questions
That would be great.
you want to pick our brains or you want to just say something. Send us an email.
Shoutouts.
No, actually.
No
I'll do
shoutouts.
shoutouts. Any shoutouts from us?
All right. On that note,
I think my favorite thing about this podcast, and I'm kind of annoyed that it's not a video podcast because of this, is how much you Futscher play with your beard, like while we're talking. You just sit there
Your
and
beard
just like
play actually makes
stroke
me
your
uncomfortable
beard.
because if you start doing it and then I start doing it, I'm not thinking about it, and then I see you doing it, and I'm like, this is weird.
I'm unaware of what you're talking
We
about.
lock we lock
I didn't
eyes
know
sometimes
that.
and stroke beards, and I think it's an unsaid thing, but now it's out there.
Like
I just wanted you to know.
how I think it was when we were talking about Fallout, and you're just sitting there just like playing with it. I was like, what is happening?
I don't know.
You ruined self-touching for me.
What?
All right, thanks.
And so we should cut that part into the beginning as our drumstick.
That's the cold open.
Yeah.
And we're out.
We gotta get clickbait titles. Self-touching.
Bye.
The podcast. I'm not done yet.
No,
No,
yes you
yeah,
are.